Nixon Vicci? Is that how you pronounce it?
Vicci.
Nixon Vicci. Nixon Vicci. You have to forgive me. I've been up since 4 a.m. And
it's fine. It happens all the time.
And Bubba is here as well. Bubba, what's going on, man?
Not a lot.
All right. So, Nixon, you are a big star from what I've heard in the independent market, correct?
I mean, I'm known by people, and I'm very well liked in my industry version of it. So I am very popular with other people that work in indie films. They all enjoy working with me.
They all enjoy working with you. Well, that's good. Yeah. That's good. So you've been in the film business now, independent film business, and you also been in commercials. You were telling us backstage a little bit about when exactly you got into, I guess what would you call it? Hollywood, Indiewood? What would that be?
It's just indie. I mean, well, the commercial work was regional. It wasn't national commercials. It was only in Illinois areas where they were shown.
Right. And
not national yet or anything like that. All right, turn this up.
Somebody calling you? Was somebody calling you there?
I have to make sure my phone. I have friends that really wanted to tune in, so
Oh no, that's fine. That's fine. Hey, they're welcome to watch. Thought for a second, hey, maybe she's already getting another casting call for something. Who knows?
I think I'm already still booked next year coming up. I think I got so much going on.
So what do we got going on next year? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Several things. So one thing, there's a director up here in the Madison area named Cam Calloway, and I'm not acting in that. I'm a production assistant, so I'm helping behind the scenes.
Okay.
And that is like a horror film about a slave that his spirit seeks revenge. And we actually have Billy Redden, who was the banjo boy in Deliverance, making a cameo in that.
Oh, wow.
Kind of exciting. But we're still in pre-production, so we haven't started filming or anything yet with that.
What's the name of that one?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's Banjo.
Did I not say Banjo?
Banjo. So there is banjo music in it because, the slave played the banjo. But, the main character, I guess you would say. And
right.
There's Pandemonic, which is Ryan Barrett and Dave Cook, who are also actors I've worked with, and they've written this film. And they're going to have an Indiegogo launch after the new year for this film, but it's like a possessed comedy horror film. So
I do love the comedy horror. That's the one that tickles me.
Yeah, that's a lot of what I do, I guess, probably more so. But yeah, that one, it's pretty funny. It was going to be a short film, but it's turned into a feature-length film. And I'm not one of the main characters, but I'm a major character for the plot. So, but the two main characters are the guys that are writing it. But I'm like the major female actor in the film. And then there's one called The Clown Dies at Midnight, Part 2, Clown Harder. And you can actually watch the short film, The Clown Dies at Midnight by Chivi's Films on YouTube. It's, I don't know, can I swear? Is that fine?
Oh, fuck yeah.
It's hilarious. If you love raunchy humor and puns, it's fucking great. When I saw it, I was like, man, I'm so pissed off I wasn't in this movie because I didn't know the Chivi's production group yet. But they cast me in the second one, and we're filming that this summer, and I'm playing a mime assassin, so that's pretty cool. I'm pretty excited about it because I love mimes, and I used to practice being a mime. So
hang on. You're gonna be a mime assassin?
Yes, because it's called The Clown Dies at Midnight. If you see the first one, you'll see how ridiculous it is, and this second one is so much more raunchy and offensive and just off the walls, like crazy characters. I'm so super excited about it. It's gonna be so much fun. If you like raunchy humor, I definitely think you'd like it.
The first movie was The Clown at Midnight, correct?
The Clown Dies at Midnight.
The Clown Dies at Midnight. Because I'm trying to look for it so I can show everybody where they can find this film at. And I believe I found it. It's Chevy's Film Productions.
Yeah, Chivi's, yeah.
Yep, here you go. This is where you guys can see it. It's a 13-minute film.
Hey, Paul and Becky.
This is The Clown Dies at Midnight. I don't know if we can play the whole thing, but we'll definitely have links for you to go. Yeah, okay, you got a clown with a cigar. For God's sakes, that's a clown.
Yep. That's my friend Joe. He's great. He's a great actor. He's in a lot of things, like a lot of indie projects.
All right, so if you want to go see The Clown Dies at Midnight, here is a link to it on YouTube. It's about a 13-minute video. Looks already good. I'm going to watch it probably afterwards.
Yeah, I say definitely take your time and check it out for sure.
So you have been doing independent films. Hey, Casey, you've been doing independent films since 2014. Almost, it's 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, technically longer, but a lot of stuff just never got finished. Like I said before, I mean, I did make college films and those didn't end up on IMDb. And I was in a college film last year and I got paid for it, but they didn't put that on IMDb. So I have other credits. So not everything winds up on IMDb, essentially.
Now, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I said it just depends. It depends on the director if they want to put it on there, if they have the time, because sometimes they just, if it's a college film, you have to put like every single person and what they did, and they don't really want to always do that because it's time consuming.
Right. I do know we have a local director here out of the Central Illinois area. He just did a really amazing film called F, Tales of the End of the World. He's working on his next film from what I hear. I don't know. Maybe he'll see this interview and be like, "Hey, I need to hire her."
Is it Ash? Because I know Ash Hamilton.
Yeah, it's Ash Hamilton. Yeah.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure they know each other.
Yeah, we've met. I've never worked with him. My friend Brett works with him a lot. Brett Blakely, he's a really good actor. I used to do theater with him, and I've done short films with him as well. He's really good locally.
Okay.
And Ben Harrell, I've worked with him. He's out of Decatur, and he had a story in Eft. And he also, yeah, I don't know if so it's like a demon one, I think.
Oh, is it that one in the beginning where they summon the demon?
I think that might be the one.
I shouldn't give spoilers, but that whole scene was hilarious. It's a good film. It's still a good, and it has its scary moments.
Yeah, I haven't been able to see it. I hope to. I did see the Alien movie that Ash Hamilton made.
Oh, the Alien movie he did. What was that one? I forget what the name of it was, but that one was really good because I'm big into the Alien stuff.
Well, and that's the thing too. I think a lot of people hear indie film and they think it's going to be garbage, But I mean, really, how many $1 million films have you seen that were total shit anyway? Like, that doesn't equate a good film. Because I'm always surprised by the good quality I see, like when the films are finished, and how amazing they look and how well they're edited, composed. The acting's great. I mean, we get really good actors in these indie films. Not everybody can make it to Hollywood,
Right, and sometimes those indie films do really good. Like, what's that one film, Bubba, you were really interested? What was it? Was it Terrifier 3 or something?
That's the Terrifier movie.
Yeah, that started out as an indie film, and it hit. Lightning was caught in the bottle, and it took off. Sometimes
it actually started off with All Hallows Eve.
Oh, yeah. Really?
And then
kind of boring.
Kind of boring. And then it took off from there. But hey, sometimes these independent films, they hit the right amount of story mixed with character development, and they just take off, So, and by the way, that film was the Holes in the Sky, the Sean Miller story.
Oh yeah, that's what it was.
That one I really like. Yeah, everybody's like Art the Clown. I don't understand. What is people's fear of the clowns? What is this?
Well, I mean, you can't really see what their face looks like, and I mean, I don't find clowns afraid. Like,
she's got clowns. Yep.
I'm wearing.
That's Killer Space Clowns.
That's why I was really excited about this movie. That's why I'm excited to be in the second Clown Dies at Midnight, because I'm so excited to be a mime and be in a clown movie because I love clowns. I've never been afraid of them.
Yep. Napoleon Dynamite was also an independent film, and that film took off and hit like cult status. It really did. So, out of all the movies you have done, what would be the one you're the most proud of?
Oh, that's so hard to say. Well, I really liked Pantheon Woods. That was one I did in 2015, but now it's been re-edited, and I haven't seen the new version yet. But that was a found footage film. My sister and I are cryptozoologists, and we go into the woods to try to find a werewolf. And that was on Amazon. That was streaming on there for a while. But he took it off, and now it's called, I think, Wolves in the Woods, and it's going to be streaming soon. But yeah, I haven't. But he said it's a completely different story. But I was really proud of that one, and I did have a lead role in that. But that was a lot of improv, and we did film a lot in the woods, and it was a good time. I mean, I don't know, it's so hard to say because I really appreciate everything, even like Pantheon Woods.
Yep.
I did just have a premiere on November 30th. They premiered The Ties That Bind. I'm in the opening of that one.
Okay.
It's part of an anthology series. It's called Phil Herman's Unearthed. So there's 4 stories in it. And mine was The Ties That Bind. And that's about my friend goes missing in the woods, and we're trying to track her down and find out what happened. So it's like a thriller mystery story. And then that premiered, and then they streamed Torture the Flesh, which I had a small role in this one, but this movie, if you like really like horror, bloody, gritty type films, also with raunchy humor, it's a good film. But Torture the Flesh, order the Blu-rays. I'm sorry?
That's the one that other girl I know, I guess, was in also, that Heather.
Oh, yeah. Heather Harlow is in it as well.
Yeah.
Yep. We're in a scene together in that one.
Was she also in The Ties That Bind? Or no?
Yep. She's in The Ties That Bind as well.
That's what I thought.
She works with Chivis. And I think, she's going to be in The Clown Dies at Midnight.
Okay.
I've been trying to get a hold of her to, do an interview also, but haven't heard back. But
well, we got David Cook here, director of Pandemonic. We're super excited to see Nixon's role as Ginger come to life. Also, big Terrifier fan here. Welcome, David. Welcome to the show. So you do mostly a lot of horror films, a lot of the independent horror films.
Well, that's kind of a lot of what the indie scene is. It's just kind of easier to do. I don't know, but well, maybe not easier, but I think most independent directors, that's their go-to and their passion. And honestly, like, horror is just really rising in the past 10 years.
It has been, yes. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, you're fine. No, I mean, it's great to see because it's changed so much, like the way people view horror, and now they're actually, considered really good quality films. They're not really getting recognized so much, when it comes to awards, but that doesn't really matter because that's all like a popularity contest anyway.
Yep, we got our very own actor here, Hollywood Tim Gibbons, saying indie horror is the best. It really is, because horror has had a really nice renaissance lately. It's had a really nice renaissance in both film and literature and movies, TV shows. But the problem is with indie horror, you're more open. I find you're more open to be able to do whatever you would like. You have almost like a blank check when it comes to ideas. Whereas with mainstream films, it seems like if you do a film about, like I pitched a film once to a friend of mine, I was like, it'd be really cool. They took the concept of the Wendigo and put some military guys against it. They kill it, but then they get paranoid thinking one of them is a Wendigo because the Wendigo's a shapeshifter. Mm-hmm. And of course, that sounds a lot like John Carpenter's The Thing. So if that was made into a big blockbuster Hollywood movie, chances are one studio's going to get mad at the other and be like, you ripped off our film. Where with indie horror, you have literally almost free creative control over the entire process.
Well, that's also because, and that's why Terrifier has been so successful. Like Terrifier 3, so many production companies wanted to throw money at that director. And yeah, he could have got fuckloads of money, but he wouldn't have had the creative freedom. And that's why those films are so popular, because he's not sucking at the teat of these mainstream Hollywood production companies that have no fucking idea what people really want. They're just regurgitating the same bullshit storylines over and over again. But
yeah, they really do. I mean, but at the same time, sometimes like the best film I saw in recent years was Godzilla -1. That film was terrifying as fuck. And I'm a nerd, obviously, as people can see. But you watch a Godzilla film, you're immediately thinking, okay, giant river monster fighting giant river monster, whoop-de-doo, you know, been doing it for 70 years. That one, they actually hit it, and it was like, I was terrified for people. I was terrified for the actors, and it was like, that's how you do it. Whereas with some of these other films, they focus more on some of these other films, like, for example, I'm going to take another thing off my wall, the Transformer films. They don't focus on story. They focus on just a robot beating the shit out of another robot. Hey, that's been done. We've seen it. We want to know these characters. We want to know the story and all that stuff. Indie takes the time with that. And I noticed that very well with a lot of indie films like the Sean Miller story and After Tales of the End of the World and the Times. So I think indie, honestly, when it comes to horror, is probably the way to go.
Yeah. Well, we're not relying on, CGI and the super expensive, effects. I mean, even in Torture the Flesh, there are some really grotesque scenes, and I mean, there are practical effects to make it look more realistic.
Mm-hmm.
But in it, they do such a good job. Honestly, like it does look pretty real. I'm not gonna get into it, but you got to see the movie to understand like what I'm talking about.
I mean, that's what I like about like the Terrifier movies. The bloodier, the gorier, the more violent, the better, as far as I'm concerned.
Right, and like I don't really even find the Terrifier movies scary. I do find them hilarious. Like that actor, I mean, he can do so much with his face without saying any words, and that's what makes him so perfect for the role. They could have probably put somebody else in that role that couldn't have the same, facial expressions and not make the character as kind of like comical as he is while being menacing. And it wouldn't have been as good, in my opinion. Like really good casting really makes a difference. Costumes, yeah, and just like especially when you are filming horror films, editing, camera angles, when you're trying to make things look realistic, since we don't have the money to use CGI and use all these like expensive camera programs and editing programs.
Right. I feel like when it comes to, I'm more of a fan of practical effects. I love if it's there, like when you're seeing film, like for example, Freddy Krueger. There's a scene in the original Nightmare on Elm Street where he stretches his arm out really long. It's a practical effect. That's cool. Because it's a concept, it's an art to make that whole scene come to life. Where with CGI, I mean, I can't really get behind it that much anymore. And with the horror genre, they really, really get creative with that practical effects. They literally.
Yeah, I've made like fake entrails out of like soaking the insides of a pumpkin in fake blood. Great like rapping sound.
Yeah, see, yeah.
Wall, yeah. They stick, yeah. I've done that. I've taken gummy worms, so I took like saran wrap over a plate and I melted gummy worms in a microwave and I just kept shaping and molding them because I was going to be like a zombie. So I cut like a hole in my shirt and had like these fake guts hanging out. And I used like Caro syrup and dye, like food dye, to make it look like blood so I could color them. But yeah, it looked really cool and they were edible. So I had like other zombies eating my guts.
Just a note to everybody: if you want any Halloween tips for next year, get in touch with Nixon for sure. So
yeah, I know really cheap ways to do trial and error.
Right. So, what would you say? I've asked several directors and several actors that have been on this show before. What would you say is your dream project? What is one, like if someone walked up to you and said, "Hey, I think you'd be perfect for this role or this movie," or this is a concept I want to pitch. What would you say is the one that's like your grand idea, the one that you're just like, God, I wish someone made that movie and I could be in it?
So I've actually thought about this because I have never wanted to be super famous because I like my privacy, but I would want to be cult famous, like maybe in an obscure horror sci-fi show, like, on Sci-Fi. Something like Z Nation, I would love to be on something like that, or like The Expanse, because I love like just science stuff in general. So for me, it would be something like that. Just something obscure enough where not everybody would know who I am, but something I could go to like I could go to conventions for free, which would be the tits, and then just like hang out with all the other nerds and geeks. That would be cool. So something like that. You know, I don't want to be in like a big Hollywood blockbuster, like unless James Gunn was like, hey, you want to be like an extra in one of my superhero movies? Then I'd be like, fuck yeah, all right.
Oh, the internet's just been blowing up with that Superman trailer. It looks good. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, yeah, like anybody that knows me, I've been a Superman fan since I was like 3 years old, like when I started reading comics, and I've been a James Gunn fan since I was 12 years old for like 26 years, since he was in Trauma. I've actually, okay, and I will say I've always wanted to be in a Trauma movie. Like that's a big dream of mine because I've just been following them forever, and I just love their guerrilla filmmaking style.
Right.
Appreciate that. I just don't think you get that kind of passion in Hollywood films these days. But James Gunn definitely, he used to work for Troma, and he still just has such a passion for making films and like, you know, just really, well, especially with superhero movies, just really having an appreciation for the comic book content. You know,
yeah, he's it's very accurate. The films he's done that are comic book, like Guardians of the Galaxy, Suicide Squad, those two are very accurate to the original source material. But with Superman, it's like, I think I personally liked Man of Steel. I like what Zack Snyder did, but it went stale real fast. This could be like a freshening up of the character and the genre. Because honestly, superhero movies lately have been really just abysmal. They're not really any good. The last good one I saw was probably Deadpool and Wolverine, and after that, everything before that or after that, it was like, I don't really want to watch this. But I mean, who knows? Maybe he'll do good.
I mean, I think it's going to be different. I know how he writes. So also because he came from the indie scene, and I noticed this when he was writing Guardians of the Galaxy, he can tell so much with characters and their development just with dialogue. He doesn't need to do like a lot of like flashback scenes or any of this nonsense to develop the characters. So when I was seeing all this, like, you know, oh my God, there's so much going on in this teaser trailer, I was thinking, how the hell he's going to pack this in? And then I realized, oh wait, this is James Gunn. He's fucking fluent as hell, and just like, yeah, he can do it so easily with just dialogue. So I totally trust him. I'm very excited about it. I was excited to see Crypto too. That was pretty
cool. Well, that, and also he puts great soundtracks in these films. So I'm kind of interested to see what he does for this. So I see here Paul Natta.
Yeah,
Paul Natta. You're a stand-up comedian, huh?
I did. Yeah, I used to do stand-up when I lived in Springfield before I had kids. I did it a few times when I still lived there. Like I started getting back into it right when COVID hit. Like literally like a month before COVID hit, I was going out to open mics and doing it again, and everything shut down. And I like, all right, that's great. And then I moved up here to Madison, and after a year of living here, I started going out to a few open mics. And then I felt really
How'd that go?
Oh, I mean, okay. So the thing is, when you go to open mic nights, there's so many comics there, and they don't want to laugh at you, especially if they don't know you. So the people that weren't comics, there were like 6 of them in the crowd. They all came up to me and said, "You're fucking hilarious. I didn't even realize you hadn't done comedy in a few years, you know, because, you know, it just seems so natural." So that was a nice compliment. The big room in Madison is Comedy on State to get in there on Wednesday nights, but everybody signs up. Anywhere from 85 to 250 people sign up, and they come
Holy shit.
Wow.
They come from Minnesota, Indiana, like Chicago. Like even like mainstream comics will say Comedy on State is one of their top 3 favorite clubs in the country. So it's a big deal to get into that room because it's always full. It's the best open mic I've ever seen in my life. It's amazing. I've been to open mics in Chicago that did not have such a great crowd. And I signed up a few times, but I've never gotten picked, and it's kind of disheartening. I wanted to do comedy more this year, but I was feeling really crappy. And this is like total side note. I like almost died in September. And
Wait, what?
Like, yeah, like I was in the ICU, like Labor Day weekend. So basically sometime in the past year, I developed type 1 diabetes, and I didn't know, because why would I know? I'm like a very healthy person. I eat like unprocessed foods. I work out. I do like weight training, like 3 to 5 hours a week.
Uh-huh.
And diabetes doesn't run in my family. So why would I know I had diabetes? So I wasn't treating it because I didn't know. And then my body went into ketoacidosis. In the past, like most of this year, I felt like shit. I was just tired all the time. And I'm like, well, I'm a single mom who's almost 40 with 2 boys and a dog. So that's probably why I'm tired all the time. But no, it's because I had diabetes and my body was like breaking down, and I had like no potassium in my body whatsoever. But yeah, they were like, you had acid blood. Had you waited like another day, you could have died in your apartment by yourself.
Holy shit.
So yeah, so I mean, I hadn't really done stand up because I felt like so shitty all year, but I feel so good now after surviving that. But I was in the ICU for a couple days, and then in the regular hospital room for a few days. And I mean, I had to go through like diabetic counseling. I have to see like an endocrinologist every few months and get blood work done. And I'm like insulin dependent now, but I mean, I do feel a lot better. Because yeah, I didn't know why I felt so shitty the past year, but that's why. So if you are a hypochondriac, yeah, you can just suddenly develop type 1 diabetes. Your pancreas just decides to say, fuck you, I'm not going to make insulin anymore.
The longest take, welcome to the show, wants to know, says, my mom has type 1. Do you have an insulin pump? Diabetes is tough.
No, I can't do it. I've seen them. I just don't want something stuck in me because I'm such a klutz. I just feel as though I'll like rip it out or something, or like bump into something. I do have like a little thing stuck in my arm that measures my blood sugar. So, but I change it out every 2 weeks. But yeah, stay on top of it and just, jack myself with insulin. I'm kind of just gotten used to it now after a few months.
Geez, that's scary though. The fact that you almost passed away from. So, what were the signs? You were feeling bad, and you were like, I just need to go to the hospital, or.
Well, yeah. So, luckily, my kid's dad still lives in Springfield, and him and his mom, the kid's grandmother, came up Labor Day weekend to spend time with the boys before they started school, because in Wisconsin, school doesn't start until after September 1st. It's like the law.
Uh-huh.
So they were actually with them. So they came and picked the boys up from our apartment. And I was like, I don't know, I just got tired all of a sudden. I'm just going to lay down. I was going to go to this metal concert. And I was like, I'll just take a nap before I go. But then all of a sudden I was just so tired. My legs hurt really bad. I was just in so much pain. It hurt when I breathe, like when I would breathe. And I don't know, I was trying to like take a shower and just feel better. I tried taking Mucinex. And then I was like, screw this. I have to drive myself to urgent care. And I drove there, was like blacking out. And they even said, we don't know how the hell you drove here. Like, we don't like I was a legend at the St. Mary's Hospital in Madison, because they're just like, we don't even understand how you got here consciously. Like, you are not human. So I was like, oh, thank you, guys. But yeah, I just drove there, and they said, well, they did blood work. And they're like, well, you might have pneumonia, but there's something in your blood work that says you might have a blood clot. So we need to get you in an ambulance and get you to the hospital today. And I'm just like, okay. I mean, I'm so out of it. I'm just like, whatever, do what you will, and get to the ER. I mean, people are just taking blood constantly. And the doctor comes up to me, and she's like a young lady. She's like, dude, what the fuck? Do you know you have diabetes? Like, what? No. She's like, you've never thought about that you might have diabetes? I'm like, no, never. Why would that? No. And so, yeah, they just told me. So they're just like pumping me full of nutrients. And they're like, I forget what my potassium level was, but it needs to be like at 5, and mine was like at a 0.01 or something. Like, you need potassium for your heart and blood, like, all that crap. But yeah, that was bad. Yeah, it wasn't cool. And it really did. I'm not gonna lie, like my whole perspective on a lot of things changed. It was a very, enlightening experience. So I have, decided, yeah, I'm definitely gonna do stand-up more. Like this new year, I'm gonna make it a point to start doing it more, because I miss it, and I write material all the time. I just haven't performed it.
And so do the kids give you a lot of material?
I mean, if you follow my Facebook, you know I'm always posting the wacky shit they say and do.
Yeah.
With them personally, I mean, yeah, some of that life experiences, my perspective, definitely. Being like on the dating scene, I have like a lot of dating jokes.
Oh,
Like last year when I was doing comedy, it was a lot of making fun of being on dating apps and the trauma that comes with that.
Yeah, poor Nixon's been going, not had the greatest luck lately in the dating department.
well, how have you not had the greatest luck? I mean, I don't take this the wrong way. I'm engaged and all that stuff, but you are a very beautiful looking woman.
Maybe people need to be more shallow then. I don't know.
And she's a great person too. Like I said, I've known her for God knows how long, and she's just a great person. I don't get why she's had this bad luck, but
well, she needs to ask herself. I mean, you need to ask yourself, Nixon, are you looking for a boyfriend or are you looking for a man friend? That's why I tell everybody who sits there and says, I have bad luck finding, somebody to date and all that stuff, because you can usually tell right away. And I'm sure you can already figure it out once you meet them. You can usually tell right away, like, okay, this guy might have potential. This guy might, no, not this guy. No.
That's the thing. I usually don't get past the first date. Usually if I kind of like somebody and like we have a really good first date, they ghost me.
What?
Which I don't understand. Like, I mean, I went on a date with a guy and really hit it off. He said I was really funny and smart, and we talked for hours. He told me he wanted to see me again. And then, I texted him and he never, maybe he's dead. I don't know. I had one guy recently, like I was texting him and he said, you look so maternal. You look like you're such a good mom. And I was like, oh yeah, thank you. I mean, I do have 2 kids. I am a mom. And then he started basically discussing how he wanted mommy son role playing. And I thought he was joking. So I
God.
made a joke about it. And then he started saying some fucked up shit. I can't even, like, I felt so dirty. Like, I'm like, I need to delete this dating app. Like, I don't want any.
Get me off of here. I'm done.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not, no more Plenty of Fish for me.
There's Plenty of Fish.
Oh, Plenty of Fish is, I think, the worst.
What is it with people this day and age? I don't understand this. It's like you start dating somebody, then it's like by the second date, they're like, so this is what I'm into. I'm into mommy and daddy role play, and I'm in feet. And I'm just sitting there thinking, I'm into none of this shit. No. Let me just be people and just date, like on TV or movies or eat fruit or something.
I mean, even if it gets that far, a lot of the times, you just don't even get a response from people. I mean, I think for every 30 guys that I might message, we might have a conversation, because it's like, they might say hi. All right, I'll ask a question, trying to start a conversation, and then they never reply back.
So it's one of those things. See, now that's weird, because when I was dating before I met my fiance, I was doing the same thing. I was going on like OkCupid, Plenty of Fish, all that shit. And you'd find a girl, looks really nice, looks really sweet. And I'd be like, hi, how are you? Blocked. Okay, next one. Hello. And they go, hey. And I'm like, how are you doing today? Nope. Nothing. The dating scene is brutal. It can be.
It is. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I keep powering through because, I'm a realist. I'm a logical person. I'm like, yeah, I'll probably never find anybody, but I'm dumb enough to keep trying, because I feel like if I just accept defeat, then I'm definitely going to be alone. And sometimes
you are not. You are not. I thought the same thing too. And then about almost 8 years ago, I met Susan, my fiance, and there's somebody out there. You're going to find someone. I got. You know what? I got faith in you.
Well, sir, a lot of guys own cats, and I am allergic to cats, and I think that's a big thing too. Like, I can't date somebody with cats or into butt stuff, and it seems like that's all there is up here.
Madison, what's in the water up in Madison, Wisconsin?
I mean, it's a really great area. I don't know, but they're.
Yes, I enjoy my 16 cats, and I enjoy my butt being bedoodled.
Well, I was texting with a guy, and I was like, I just feel the need to say this because it's going to come up. and I don't want this to continue further unless we get this out of the way, but I'm not into butt stuff. And he's like, he texts back, LOL. Yeah, that's fine. Never heard from him again.
No, so it was like as soon as you said you're not into butt stuff, he's like, okay, that's fine. Don't worry, LOL. And he sat there and thought about it. It's like, block, denied. That's I don't get it. Some people are into some weird ass shit. You could do a good horror film where you're trying to find. You could do a horror film, literally an indie horror film. And I'll sell this to you. No, you could have it. I'll tell you what. You could have this idea. It's about a woman trying to find someone to date. And they're cursed. So every time they go on a date with somebody, that person ends up dead. And they don't realize it because they just think, oh, so-and-so's ghosting me.
Oh, okay.
You could do something like that. It could be a horror comedy where it's like, she doesn't realize she's cursed.
Good idea, actually.
She doesn't realize she's cursed. She goes on a date with like this big, muscular, like handsome Puerto Rican man with the chiseled chin and the small beard, and they hit it off just fine. And he seems normal, and then he goes and just somehow he gets into a car accident, or this really tall lumberjack guy, for example. They have a date. First date goes well. He goes home. Somehow his house blows up. Just random curses. So, if you want to use that, or if any of your fellow directors and stars in this on this show want to use that,
well,
go right ahead.
One of my director friends, James Arnold, he's also worked on Torture the Flesh, but like we kind of like joked about making like a horror movie or a horror comedy about just like my horrific dating experiences. Yeah, like I always post about it on Facebook because I'm trying to like keep, a journal of it all. Plus I'm like, you know what? This will help people that are already in relationships value what they have because they do not want to be out here swimming in this mud puddle like of a dating world in like the 30s and 40s. It's a nightmare.
You should totally do it. Hey, if they could put out Happy Death Day, which I still don't understand that movie. I'm still like, what?
See, I love those.
Yeah, it's like Groundhog's Day.
Yeah, it's like Groundhog's. It's like a Looney Tunes version of Groundhog's Day, and I'm like, how'd this get a second film? But if they could do that, you can do this film Ghosted or something,
And speaking of the dating, I had talked to my fiance, was telling her about you, Nixon, and it got brought up about you have, that you're single, and about your dating issues lately. And she says, I actually know a single guy in Madison, and he's a real good guy and all this stuff, and then she didn't know how old you were. And I'm like, I said, I don't know. I said, I'm pretty sure she's younger than I am. But I guess this guy is like at least my age, if not a little bit older. I said, yeah, I don't think she's.
I don't know how old you are, Bubba.
He's like in his 50. He's 50. He turned to swinging 50s this year.
Happy half centennial. Pretty good, hey. Like I never really wish people a happy birthday. I'm always like, hey, congratulations on not dying. I mean,
oh Jesus Christ,
you made it another year.
But I told her, I was like, I don't know if she's even up for some dating with all the luck she's had lately.
Yeah, I was like, taking a break, deleted all the apps. Yeah.
Reset, yeah, I would say that's the best option. Wow.
The holidays.
On behalf of the male species, I apologize.
Well, it's fine. Like I have so many great male friends, and I know there's good guys because they are like I think all my guy friends are all really good dudes. A lot of them are in relationships, So I know there's good dudes. It's but there is I don't know, 80% of the dudes that are single are awful. So yeah, especially I don't know, they're all jaded. When you get to your like 30s and 40s, they just I don't know, they give up, and they're all divorced, and they all think every woman is awful because they had a terrible wife that cheated on them, lied, or stole. It's like, sorry, you settled for the wrong person and made a mistake. I personally have never been married, but it's like, sorry, you made that mistake because you felt the need to not be alone and to settle. But I'm not that same person. I'm better than all your stupid ex-wives. Okay.
Yeah, well, that's one fault that men do, and it's one fault a lot of relationships do is when they sit there. Let's say they go through a divorce and they're freshly divorced and all that stuff. They end up, for some reason, and I don't know why, but humans will compare new relationships to previous relationships, and I don't know why. It's like you're not dating your ex-boyfriend, your ex-wife, your ex-husband or girlfriend. You're dating somebody new, fresh slate. They're not the person you just broke up with or whatever.
Yeah, Corey said, Madison has so many bars, you get lots to choose from. Yeah, I don't pick up dudes at bars.
Yeah, that's a
I dated enough alcoholics when I lived in Central Illinois.
Oh yeah.
So,
I
go ahead,
did
Bubba.
got a question here about the boys.
Hmm?
How did you come up with their names? I kind of got at least an idea in my head, but that might not be the same as what you had it.
Yeah, so Arlo is not named after Arlo Guthrie. I just want to make that clear. I know everybody thinks that. That's not even Arlo Guthrie's real name. He changed it to Arlo. But no, I'm half Italian. My grandfather was Hugo, and I love my grandfather Hugo so much. He was like the best human ever. He was from Modena, or Modena, as the people in America say. And I didn't want to give him the name Hugo, though. I felt like that would be cruel. And plus, all the hipsters at the time, back in 2013, were naming their kids Hugo. So I had a cousin named Aldo, and I just wanted to give him an Italian name. And I thought Arlo was like a good in-between between Aldo and Hugo. And then Carlin, of course, my little Carlin Vader, and that is his middle name is Vader. He is named after George Carlin because he's the best comic of all time.
That's what I
Good
thought.
choice. Good choice.
That's what I thought, but I wasn't sure.
He's gonna be a comic. He's very funny. He just doesn't realize it yet.
But yeah, Arlo Guthrie, I mean, that's probably the most famous, probably the only Arlo I know other than you, your son, like.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I've heard it a couple times. So Super Troopers, the Indian guy, I can't think of his name. So his child is named Arlo in Super Troopers.
Uh-huh.
And I guess there's Justified. There was some show with Timothy Olyphant. I never really watched it, even though I love Timothy Olyphant as an actor. But there was a show on FX called Justified, and his dad was Arlo.
Yeah.
And there was that stupid fucking dinosaur movie that Disney made called The Good Dinosaur. And that piece of shit, that came out a year after my son was born. So now there's tons of Arlos, a couple years younger than him, after that fucking dinosaur movie.
I take it you're not a Disney fan.
I have a tattoo of Jason Voorhees holding the severed head of Mickey Mouse.
Oh, Jesus. Well, to all the Disney lovers that just tuned off, hey, sorry. It happens.
I mean, I think Disney's always a little overrated. Hey, my friend Cam is here. Cam Calloway's here, the guy, the director and writer of Banjo.
Yep, he just popped in a short while ago.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, I hate that Disney bought Marvel because Marvel did have a good thing going.
Oh,
now it sucks. Disney's just skull fucking themselves with all this shit.
It's so weird that the best Marvel film that's come out since Avengers Endgame happened to feature Ryan Reynolds. That's the only way they could have done it good. Well, you also had Guardians 3, but still, it's and Spider-Man, but it's not what it used to be.
See, Tyler loves how Disney took over the Star Wars.
I will remove you and fire you from this show right now.
I mean, I like The Mandalorian.
Mandalorian's good.
Yeah.
I lost my shit with The Acolyte. I cannot know.
I can't even bring myself to watch it. I'm like, my time is too valuable.
You're doing yourself a favor.
And actually, so my favorite Star Wars movie, and I get shit for this, and trust me, I love old school Star Wars. Every spring break when I was a kid, I used to bust out the VHS tapes of the original 3, we had them. And that was what we did every spring break because we didn't have TV. So we watched, the trilogy every spring break. But Rogue One, that's my favorite of all, absolute favorite.
I like Rogue One. I like Empire Strikes Back. I like the original trilogy. And what's really weird is back in the day when I was a kid, when the prequel trilogy came out, I was like, yeah, this kind of sucks. This kind of sucks. Nowadays, I'm sitting here thinking, man, I was eating good. I don't know what I was talking about. Those shows are better than what we got now. But I like what they did with the Mandalorian. I like Ahsoka,
Okay.
but the Acolyte. I also like Book of Boba Fett because Book of Boba Fett was more mobster / Godfather like.
See, I watched a couple episodes. I think it was just hard for me to get into.
That a lot of people have that problem, but you gotta look at it from the perspective of it's a mob series. Like Boba Fett, instead of the Godfather, instead of Don Corleone, you have Boba Fett. That's the best way to look at it, and it was good once you put it in that perspective. But I also liked Obi-Wan, but everything else after that, the Acolyte, one of my good friends, Adam, he was in the hospital, and I called him up, and I was like, "Are you busy?" "Well, I'm in the hospital." "Are you bored?" "Yeah." And I ran it for 2 hours about the damn Acolyte. The nurse apparently heard me and asked my friend Adam, "Is this guy having a stroke?" No, he's just a really avid Star Wars fan.
Well, they're just like oversaturating it. It's just too much.
If you tell me your favorite Star Wars movie, longest take, I promise not to ban you. I promise not.
I saw that. He also said he's Thunderbolts and Captain 4. Yeah, I mean, I love the Captain America movies. So I'm not a big Marvels fan, but
yeah,
Captain America was always my favorite comic book character when it comes to Marvel, just because he's more of a libertarian. And
see, and everyone thinks I'm crazy because, like, I'm the different one on this. Like, I never got into comic books as a kid, so like all the superhero movies, I can't get into them. It's just I do like the original Batman movie from like 1966.
Well, I think that's
like the original 2 or 3 Superman movies that they did.
Also a given.
But other than that, I just don't get into it.
Well, why not?
Like I said, I never got into comic books as a kid. So
I mean, even if you've never read the comic books, because I mean, my kids never read the comic books and they still love those movies. So it's like, it's fantastical.
Right. Like there's a lot of comic movies that have come out. I cannot tell you what comic they're based upon. I know the character, but it's like, I still enjoy them. But it's like some of them as of late, I've just been like, Jesus Christ, just fucking give me cancer in the middle of the movie theater right now.
Yeah, I tried to watch the Marvels and I turned.
Oh God!
I turned out at 20 minutes. I just couldn't do it. The dialogue was just like, oh my God, it was so mundane. Like AI could have done it. Actually, AI could have done better.
And that is why the indie movie scene is much better than Hollywood, because somebody thought it was a great idea. Let's put a musical dance number in that movie. Are you shitting my nuts right now?
Oh, I didn't even know that happened.
Oh, God. Let's send her to a planet where she's married to somebody and everybody sings and dances to communicate. And I'm sitting there watching this in the theater. I'm like, I have never been more embarrassed to actually watch a Marvel movie in my life.
Well, and this stuff is getting greenlit, and then you have these indie directors and writers, and they're sending scripts out to Hollywood. I mean, producers, that's like part of their job. They're going through the scripts. And I had a producer tell me one time, she's like, you know what, if I'm not captivated within the first page, I'm throwing that script in the trash. But they keep producing this fucking shit that nobody wants and everybody hates. You know, I mean, even with this new Superman movie, like I've seen mostly good reviews of the teaser trailer. Like even people that are like, I'm so sick of, comic book films. And this is, regained my trust in that now after seeing this teaser trailer, even those people, it's like, I'm sure had DC not have just given James Gunn the ability to do whatever the fuck he wanted to, it wouldn't have been, as interesting as it's probably like the new DC universe is going to be.
Right.
But
right.
Disney, that's where they fucked up. They are the ones that cut him loose too.
Yeah, Disney originally fired him. He wasn't even going to be able to do Guardians 3. And somebody, for some reason, peered way, way back on Twitter, found something that he had said and brought it to light. And Disney's like, yeah, I am. I'm sorry, I just about got cut off there, but I promised not to ban him. But so tempting.
The Last Jedi.
Oh, so tempting to ban him. That's your fine longest take. If you liked it, great. I personally didn't. That's
Somebody's got to watch it.
There's got to be a fan for it somewhere, yeah. But I feel like movies nowadays, we're moving past the comic book, the superhero movies. And I think they're starting to realize that, because remember back in like the 50s and 60s, 70s, it was all about the Westerns. Westerns were everywhere. You had John Wayne, you had Clint Eastwood, and eventually they kind of fell aside for the 80s and 90s sci-fi movies, and then now we have this. So maybe I promised I wasn't going to ban you. It's tempting. It's for your own good, but I will not
criticize you.
Yeah, I can still sit there and say why.
Yeah, I can still make you feel shame.
And they sat there, longest take sat there for the whole time, like, should I really tell them which one I like? No, if you like it, that's fine. I just don't like it. But I feel like we're swinging more towards the indie film as maybe the next mainstream film, mainstream thing people go towards.
I mean, a lot of, well, so Chibi's, the guys that made The Clown Dies at Midnight, they actually made a movie called Murder for Pleasure, and Tubi wouldn't. So I don't know how familiar you are with Tubi.
I know what Tubi is, yes.
They show some fucked up B movies there, and they banned it for being too gruesome.
Why would they ban it for being too gruesome?
You gotta check it out to find out. Murder for Pleasure by Chibi's.
I mean, that's really interesting, but
but that's what they use to kind of promote it when they sell this movie at cons and everything. It's like, hey, here's a letter from Tubi saying it's too fucked up for us to even stream on our platform.
The movie too fucked up for even Tubi.
Right there. Yep. Yeah. I mean, they've shown Dick Shark, but they won't show that.
There's a film called
And so,
hell yeah. You don't know? You know what Dick Shark?
With commercials.
Yes.
And how did you get started with doing that?
With what?
With doing commercials. What got you started doing that?
Oh, I had an agent. So I was able to just, come in, you make a video, you audition when you go into the agency, because they will have your headshot and they'll put it out there and be like, hey, we think you'd be good for this role. And, I always got typecast. I was like the moody teenager or the goth teenager, because I'm a Jewish Italian, okay? I'm pale with dark hair. I'm trying to be goth, So yeah, it was a lot of that. But I hated having an agent. When I had an agent in Chicago when I was in my early 20s, it's just, they were constantly criticizing how you look. It's just like, you don't have the all-American girl look to get the lead roles, but you don't have a weird enough look to be the quirky, weird friend. So I just don't know what to do with you. And they would try to just tell me oh, make your hair blonde and, go tanning. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not destroying my hair and destroying my skin. I'm almost 40 years old and I get told I look 30 all the time because I stay out of the sun. So I'm glad I didn't listen to those bitches. And that's why I don't want to deal with the whole Hollywood thing. I hate how they make you feel, especially as an actress. I don't know. It makes you feel really bad about yourself. And then I kind of just found the indie scene and I just felt like there's a lot more acceptance there and they care more about your skill and your talent and what you can bring. And are you a good person to work with? Because if you're a shitty person to cooperate with on set, you're not going to keep getting cast.
Right.
I mean, I just keep getting callbacks for people that have already worked with me. They always want to work with me again. So I don't have to, feel insecure all the time.
Did you wake up one day and say, hey, I want to be in a commercial? Or, how did you do that?
So I actually won short story writing awards when I was a kid. And I really just wanted to be a writer. I was always obsessed with films. I was always ever since I was a little kid. I really wanted to be a writer or director of films. But then when I was 14, right before my freshman year of high school, one of my friends wanted me to go to this acting workshop with her. And I said, okay, whatever. And I went, and we were it was a 5-day workshop, and just practicing all these scenes. And the last day we had to do a cold read, and I did God, I can't think of her freaking name. Okay, but I had to do basically a big long speech, and I was the only one, and everybody else had acting experience, and I didn't. Like a lot of people had done theater that were in the acting workshop because we had people that were like freshmen through seniors.
Uh-huh.
And I was the only one that got a standing ovation from the director, and he was just like, "Oh my god, that was amazing." He's like, "Had you had more time to memorize that?" He's like, "That would have been spectacular." But yeah, he just like stood up, he's clapping. I'm like, "Oh, okay, I'm good at something. This is kind of cool." Like, this is nice. And I kind of just started pursuing it, and yeah, like auditioned for an agency when I was 16 and got accepted to a John Robert Powers agency and got an agent. I'm not going to say what agency was the one that like was constantly telling me how much I sucked. Like,
Yeah, I don't think they
I'm not going to say that one. That was out of Chicago, but yeah, that made me like very.
No, well, it's out of Chicago.
Yeah, that made me very much against like ever having an agent again. For sure.
Right. So what would you say? What would you say is the one thing that surprised you the most about your career so far?
I guess I'm always surprised at all the people that are willing to work for little to no money just to make a film happen. The passion I've seen over the years and the effort, I'm very much impressed with. I love it. I love all the people I've met because we're all on the same level. We want to make fucking art. Like, let's just make a fucking great film. Like, who cares? Like, anybody even, who cares if 1,000 people see it? We don't give a shit. We're going to put out a good quality product. And that's impressed me the most. Like, especially Torture the Flesh. My scene was filmed almost 3 years ago. And this film just got finished like a few months ago. It took us that long because, you have people volunteering their time to edit or compose the music, so it's like all that post-production that takes forever.
Right. So The Longest Take's also saying indie filmmakers are being poached for huge projects. Nia DaCosta directed The Marvels, but prior to that made Candyman. Wait a minute. You mean
she made the worst fucking Candyman.
Yeah.
Calloway will disagree with me because him and I have talked about this, but that movie sucked. They did Tony Todd wrong.
Yeah, I missed. I can't believe he passed away. That's horrible.
I know.
Yeah, you're not gonna be able to do Candyman ever again without Tony Todd. And
Tony
Todd
was made for horror movies.
Oh, Tony Todd by far was made for those powerful, intimidating voice. Just with that voice alone, and he was made for horror movies. He was made for action movies. He was made for all that, and he passed away, sadly, may he rest in peace.
I know, that was really hard. I was like, no, because he really wasn't that old.
No, didn't he die of like cancer or something? He's been fighting cancer for a while.
I even liked I liked how they had him in that movie Hatchet.
Oh, Hatchet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked how he was in the Final Destination movies.
Yeah, and in the original Crow movie, he was
he was
a side character in that.
Cam is saying it's the psychological side that got me only. Well,
animation, and then he had a Costa one.
And obviously, what got me started on Tony Todd was when he did the Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
I forgot he was in the 80s Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah, he was in the remake.
Yeah,
mighty big shoes to fill because the original that's just like so fucking good. That's like one of my favorites.
Oh, I love the original. Yeah. I love the original one. The 80s one is good, but the original is just so iconic. They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Well, and anything in black and white, I just think is creepier. Because that's one of the even when I was 14, seeing that for the first time, I had seen all the Leprechauns, all the Friday the 13th, all these, but I saw that, and that one actually had me on the edge of my seat. But not all these other iconic 80s horror films that I had seen.
Go ahead, Bubba.
The original Night of the Living Dead was damn good. I like the 92 version better.
It was like the 80s, 90s version, yeah.
And it was just I like how they kind of turned it and made the woman become kind of the hero at the end. And I don't know. I mean, I just really liked it. And like I said, Tony Todd did great in it.
Tony Todd's never been bad in anything.
And what's his name that played the brother? I don't know.
Oh,
I always forget his name for some reason. He played Otis in Devil's Rejects. And,
yeah, I know who you're talking about. Who was that?
Oh, yeah, because he was in Repo, the Genetic Opera.
Yeah.
Yeah, God, and he's older than Tony Todd, I'm pretty sure.
I think he is.
Because, yeah, I think he just had a birthday. God, not Bill something?
I'm going to Google it. We have Google.
I was going to say, it's like Bill Moseley. That's what it is.
yeah.
Bill Moseley. Yeah, that's who it is. Yeah.
It took a minute.
And I didn't even know that's who it was at first. And then I got into it. And I'm like, holy crap, that's him. And you just don't know, especially like the way he looked like in Devil's Rejects and stuff like that was so much different than what he looked like back in Night of the Living Dead.
Cam said he was in 200 films.
Yeah, that's a lot. I think that was Tony Todd. He was in a lot of shows, a lot of movies, a lot of TV shows. I think his last role he did. I want to Google this just before I Google this before I say this on the air, because he's done a lot of big movies. He's also been in a lot of TV shows, video games.
Wait, he's done a lot of voiceover work.
Yeah, his final role is gonna be in Final Destination Bloodlines.
Oh, okay.
He also, his last video game work was in Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. See, I just picked up the Spider-Man 2 game on PS4, and he voices Venom.
Oh, okay.
And it's like, that's how Venom sounds. Like, Tom Hardy's is good, but Venom's is like, I'm going to tear your head off and eat it right in front of you. That's Venom.
Well, though, Tom Hardy, though, at least he did the Venom voice. I think that's really cool because, I mean, when the Tom Snyder Batman, what's his name? Like, it's like you have to use a voice modulator to sound intimidating because that's how wimpy your fucking voice is.
Well, I would rather him have a voice modulator than Christian Bale sounds like he's gurgling gold.
Well, it wasn't Christian Bale. It was God. Oh my god. I cannot think of names. I'm just like, because I hate this guy. I'm not even a fan of his.
Ben Affleck?
Ben Affleck, yes. Ben Affleck. I can't say it. I mean, I appreciate him in the Kevin Smith films, but outside of that, I just don't think he's that great of an actor, and I hated him as Batman. I mean, I hated the Tom Snyder.
Well, and Ben Affleck, like right now being Christmas time, if any of you guys haven't watched Reindeer Games, he was really good in that one.
I remember Reindeer Games.
I remember that. That was probably the last film he did that was good.
I remember liked that movie too because it had so many twists to it that as you're watching it, you're thinking, okay, I get this, and then all of a sudden there's a twist to it. You're like, oh, wait a minute,
Oh, yeah, well, Billy Bob Thornton's in that too, right?
Yeah.
Well,
he also did Smoking Aces, and I liked him in Smoking Aces because he dies early on in the film. So,
I mean, he makes a cameo in like the Kevin. Yeah, I think in the last Clerks movie.
Yeah, he made a cameo in it. Yeah. I'll tell you one film I really want them to do. I would really love for them to do this, and I don't know if they're going to be able to. I would absolutely love to see a new Nightmare on Elm Street with Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger. Because he really wants to come back. He's like, guys, I'm not getting any younger. I think he's older than Tony Todd when Tony Todd passed away.
Yeah, I think so.
And there will never be another Freddy Krueger. Ever.
Well, that last Nightmare on Elm Street.
Jackie Earle Haley. The only reason they got Jackie Earle Haley is because he could do the gravelly voice. That's it.
Yeah,
but
and I like him, but that was just. It wasn't the plot was terrible. Just the storyline was.
Atrocious. Yeah, the storyline was bad. They took him from being just a child killer to the whole he's a pedophile. It's like that's not. Freddy Krueger.
Actually, he was originally a pedophile, and they edited that out in the first.
Oh, they did. That's right.
He was originally a pedo. They just were like, test out like that.
The Accountant is good, yes, but Gone Girl, I didn't really care for it. But I would love to see, and it's like back in the day when I was growing up, Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, those were the big movies. Now you got Halloween, which is being dished out like almost every 2 years. You're always watching the last Halloween. Well, okay, we know that we said the last one 2 years ago was the last Halloween, but this is really the last Halloween.
I mean, I wasn't a big fan of like the last Rob Zombie one, but I have a newfound appreciation for it after seeing the last fucking bullshit, like bastard child of a trilogy. I like the first movie out of this new trilogy, but the last two, oh my god, like it was like a mockery.
The whole Rob Zombie thing, like I brought up Devil's Rejects, and like I absolutely love that movie.
Oh, it's great.
See, I didn't care.
I almost wore my Captain Spaulding earrings.
Yeah, I didn't care so much for House of a Thousand Corpses at first, but then after I watched The Devil's Rejects, then I'm kind of like, okay, I kind of get this now, and I love it. And there was just so many great actors, like you said, Sid Haig. Yeah. There was, Ken Foree is great for horror movies. There's just numerous great actors.
Yeah, Susan Black,
Trio, which I love as an actor in that movie, and Michael Berryman.
Oh yeah.
Which I actually, when I had Bubba Radio back in the day, I actually got to do a phone interview with Michael Berryman.
Oh, really?
Ooh, that's cool.
And as you know, he played Cleavon in the movie.
Chicken fucker.
And if you want, he plays kind of like the same type of character in all his movies, where he just doesn't appear to be very smart and very, kind of goofy in a way and that. But I'm telling you what, when I did that interview with him, he is probably one of the most educated people I have ever spoken to. Like, he's just an amazing guy, and nowhere near what you see in the movies he's in. But I do love how Rob Zombie did Halloween. There's a lot of people that don't care for it that much, but I like how he brought the Michael Myers as a child, so you kind of understand why he became that character.
Yeah.
And I think they did that well.
I didn't dislike the first one. I hated the second one a lot.
Yeah.
It just didn't make sense. Like, he was just, like, he really just wanted to put his wife in that movie. But then one of my friends actually said, he's like, if you actually view that movie, like, from the girl going crazy, like, from her perspective, I'm like, okay, well, that makes a lot more sense. Like, if you view her as the killer and not actually Michael Myers being there.
Yeah. Now, Rob Zombie, he is known for using a lot of the same actors in his movies. He's used Sid Haig, obviously his wife Sherry Moon Zombie. Ken Foree's been in a few movies.
I'll tell you one thing I learned about a Rob Zombie film is if you ever see his wife in the movie, it's gonna suck. I'm just gonna point out the Munsters. I was excited for that film, and then when they announced that his wife was playing Lily, I was like, no.
She voices the character like she has like muscular dystrophy, like it's like this really shaky, grating. It made no sense. Like I don't know what the
Herman, what are you doing with Grandpa? Get you back here. Yes, Lily. Like what the fuck?
Yeah,
but William Forsythe, he was so good. A lot of good actors and actresses in that.
But you know what? Like Rob Zombie's still getting money to make these fucking movies. Good for him. How is he doing?
Yeah. Well, I can't really blame Hollywood for that because, for God's sakes, I sat through 5 fucking Michael Bay Transformers films before I actually got to a decent one.
And that's all visual vomit, too much. I mean, there's good action films. Like I think, like the movie Nobody with Bob Odenkirk. Great.
Yeah, nobody's really good. I personally
has any of you guys seen Rob Zombie's animated movie that El Super Beasto?
Yeah.
No.
I used to have the first comic book of that. I lost it in a house fire, but
it's funny, I think. But
It is. It's got
That's a
like
total different
flamboyantly
side
big
of Rob
tits.
Zombie in a way.
I mean, he's got that old school, like, yeah, like the 80s exploitation thing going on, just like
There's
gratuitous ladies and stuff, which I respect.
and yes, Muskeeter, there are decent Transformers films.
Really? I thought Bumblebee was like the only one I could tolerate.
The first one, the original animated film, Bumblebee, Rise of the Beast, and then Transformers 1 is pretty good. All right, Jade, you have a good night. You take it easy. Transformers 1, for it being marketed as a kid's film, that got dark really fucking fast. When you're seeing guys get, like, ripped in half. This is for kids? What?
I mean, my kids watch horror movies, man, so
Yeah.
to them, that's probably too friendly.
Dark of the Movie
And-
did have great set pieces, yes.
And another actor and movie maker that I'm into a lot is Eli Roth.
Yeah, I know. I'm not a fan of Eli Roth. I respect. I like him so much better as a film fan. Like him interviewing these iconic horror directors, I appreciate so much more. But yeah, a lot of Eli Roth stuff. Like he is very much inspired by like horror films that have already been made.
Well,
Like the film Knock Twice or whatever. That's a ripoff of like a 70s horror film of women tormenting a rich man. Yeah, that's one with the counter rape.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Green Inferno is a ripoff. Like, yeah.
I've seen it like an interview with him where he talks about how he wants to bring back like the 80s horror movie genre type back,
Yeah.
And then but then again, he could turn around and play it like Inglourious Bastards, which obviously is not a horror movie, but
Well, yeah, but he didn't write
that part really great in it.
But he's great. But I mean, I appreciate him more as a person than as a creative entity.
Right.
Cabin Fever.
So
I hated Cabin Fever. I thought that was so dumb and boring, and I didn't like Hostel.
Hostel was
See, I love the Hostel movies. I love those.
I don't know. Maybe it's just because I know how like physiology works, but it's like some of the torture scenes. I'm like, that wouldn't happen if you took a blowtorch to the eye. That's just like not gonna. That's not how that works. Eyes don't pop out like that. So like it's just certain like things like that really bothered me, and I just like I hated all the characters. I don't know. I need to like connect with the characters. Like this is why I never got into Harry Potter, and I'm a big nerd. I like a lot of nerdy stuff. But I'm like, all the characters are so unlikable. Like, I don't know how anybody can like this.
I never got into Harry Potter because it drove me nuts how in the first movie, all it ever is, oh, you're Harry Potter. You're so famous. Why is he famous? And you don't really learn until a lot later. It's like, you could have freaking told us ahead of time to make this guy. At least when we met Luke Skywalker, we knew he was meant for something special. When we met Optimus Prime, we knew he was something special. Harry Potter, no. So
the longest takes of Thanksgiving, I felt was a solid slasher for sure.
It was
and the
fun.
history of horror stuff was awesome.
So I gotta ask, what is your favorite film? That's not a film you've been in, but your favorite. Obviously, it seems like you're a big horror fan. What's your favorite film of all time? What would you say is your favorite one that you sit there and be like, I gotta watch this?
See, people always ask me this. I actually, I interviewed for a video store and they asked me, and for me, I feel like a film that you can throw on whenever. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Lord of the Rings, but I can't watch that whenever. I feel like a favorite film is something you can just always throw on and be like, this is fun to watch. And for me, it's Blues Brothers. I love the OG Blues Brothers. It's fun. I love the jokes. I love the comedians in it. I love the music. It just covers all those bases for me. But I will say Killer Clowns from Outer Space is so that's my favorite, probably one of my favorite, my favorite horror movie.
You like the Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
I love it, man. I love the makeup. It's comedic. It's absurd. It's over the top. The Chiodo brothers and their practical effects are amazing. They used to do practical effects for Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Yeah, they
the
did.
First movie. If you watch Ernest Scared Stupid, the clowns from
the clowns are actually the monsters or the trolls in Ernest Scared Stupid. Yeah, I thought that was interesting how it's like, hey, they're kind of saving money. They're reusing them and they're just painting them. That's cool.
Yeah, but I I don't know. I think Killer Clowns is pretty perfect for a horror movie because well, especially for the '80s. Like it's ridiculous and stupid, but it's so fun. It's so unbelievable.
Like, I'm a little more old school with like the Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
Like I said, black and white and the color version. The original Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, the only Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
And I do love
the second one's pretty good. The film.
I do love the couple of like the remakes that they did, where it had that Lee Ermey, whatever is the
Arlie Ermey.
Arlie Remy, yeah, Arlie
yeah, him as the police sergeant or whatever.
Hoyt.
Yeah,
I wasn't so much a fan.
I like those pretty good.
I only liked the last one that came out. I think it was made for Netflix. I only really liked that one because all those little hipster bastards died. Like,
I didn't care that much for that. Well, it was
just gratifying in a way.
So what's your favorite horror film? One that scares you to this day? Like you'd watch it and you're like, oh, God, this is terrifying. Yeah.
I don't know if I get scared.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think any horror movie is scary.
You mean to tell me there's not one film out there, whether it's
something?
Because I can tell you one that still scares me to this day. It's The Thing.
The Thing scares you?
The Thing, not because of the fact of an alien shape-shifting, but it's that how well do you know people? Do you know your best friend enough to be able to tell the difference between him and an imposter or him and something else? How well do you know your best friend? How well do you trust the person across the room from you? Okay, you may work with him. You may know everything about him. You may have been to his wedding, but how well do you know him?
Oh.
That's the aspect. The psychological, it's the behind-the-scenes psychological stuff for movies like that just, I'm like, oh, damn, I can't take this.
Well, see, I don't trust anybody, so I question every single human being around. Like, I'm pretty sure I've been on some dates with people that are serial killers. I guarantee it.
Oh, Springfield might have a serial killer.
Like a new one?
It's a new one. Yeah, no kidding. Springfield has never had a serial killer caught, but there's always been these massive discoveries of bodies. And there was one we covered. What was it? This past summer?
Didn't Gacy live there, though?
Gacy was more down. Wasn't Gacy more down?
He lived in Springfield
he owned a pizza place
over in Lake Town area.
Yeah, but where was most of his kills at? Was it in Lake Town or was it Springfield?
Yeah, most of his killings were in Springfield.
I didn't think so. I'm talking like.
I bet he did kill people, though. I mean, the police force has never been competent in Springfield, is my
No, well, the police force and the government has never been competent in Illinois.
Yes, he was Chicago, but he lived in Springfield the longest take. And the Donner Party started in Springfield, Illinois.
Yes.
Well, that was just somebody getting the idea of, hey, does this taste like hot dog to you? That's all that was.
Oh, no big deal. Long.
Yeah. Bubba, wasn't there? It was Jim the photographer who was on Morning Disaster. He had a property outside of Springfield they found bodies on, right?
I don't know.
I can't remember. I had to ask Ray, but I know there's been. See, every once in a while, like this past summer, we went through a sloth where it's like there was a body found on the edge of a turnpike outside of Springfield.
In like a bag.
Yeah, in like a trash bag. They was just tossed off the side.
Okay.
There was one found. Wasn't there one found in a park, Bubba?
I mean, I've always heard about homeless people being found in dumpsters and stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, this is it's one of those weird situations where it just happens in spurts, and then as quickly as it starts, boom, it's done. And you have 2 or 4 people who are dead, and you really don't know why.
Well, and the other thing that's been going on in Springfield is the guy that's missing and his girlfriend.
Actually, both of this.
Yeah, she's kind of I mean, she knows more than what she's.
Yeah,
being evasive.
Her and him both left together. We're gone a half hour. She comes back with his truck, his phone, his wallet, everything, and no one has seen or heard from him since.
Man, I should have been like murdering people in Springfield. I would have got away with it.
See, ghosted. There you go. Change the curse to. She's
I mean, the thing is, like living up here in like Dane County, like in Madison, Wisconsin, there's nothing for the cops to do. I would get busted so quickly because it's so low as opposed to like, I mean, we did just have that shooting in Madison at the school, but that's so nuts.
Yeah,
I'm just so glad it wasn't the boys.
Yeah, no, like
I mean, that's the first thing I instantly thought, and I mean, I messaged you. It was like,
yeah, I mean,
boys, okay, you know.
the schools my kids go to, they have really thick security. You have to get buzzed in just to get into the school. I mean, I guess you could probably shoot out a window. I don't know if they're bulletproof. I mean, they're pretty sturdy. I've like ran into one. But yeah, if you get like buzzed in, they need to go into the office and then they have to buzz you out. So there's like 5 doors you have to go through just to like get.
Most schools like that now?
I guess not. No, not this one. Like they didn't have metal detectors or I guess like any security at this Christian church that people pay a lot of tuition for.
Yeah, what? Hang on. What happened with? Because I heard about it, but I haven't looked into it.
Well, I've seen 2 articles. One said it was a 17-year-old girl. Then the next one I see says it was a 15-year-old girl. And now I'm hearing that there's a 21-year-old that might be connected to it somehow.
So yeah, it's a 15-year-old girl. I mean, she had a manifesto about how men are the worst, but she was also like gender fluid and went by like a more masculine name.
Okay.
But yeah, there was like a 21-year-old in California who I guess was messaging her, and they planned up shooting a place in California. So now they've had all their guns like taken away. Like they've been I'm glad the feds are actually doing something now because usually when the feds like, you know, are watching somebody, they don't do anything.
Why is it the past few years with some of these horrific shootings we've had? It sounds like the Nashville shooting. And I'm not trying to get political, so don't worry. I don't get political. I give 2 shits who you voted for. As long as you agree, Mountain Dew is great. That's all I care about. I don't care. But what is it? It's like, is it the Nashville shooter was also transgender? Is it like the emotional disability? Not the emotional disability. I'm trying to word this correctly. Is it how they're so emotionally unbalanced with the whole transition or being gender fluid? I mean, what is it? Because back when I was a kid, when school shootings first started coming up, it was kids that were getting bullied way too much, and schools knew about it but didn't want to stop it because that's the smart kid, that's the rich kid.
I was on the list of kids most likely to shoot up. I was in the top 3 to shoot up the school freshman year because I was so bullied, and instead of stopping the bullies, they're just like, we're just going to put you on a list and monitor you.
I was monitored just because I got bullied a lot in high school. Was like, I'm not gonna lie, and I'm not trying to say this to get sympathy from the audience, so don't take this the wrong way, guys. But in high school, I was about to commit suicide. The military for me was the best time of my life, and they tell you high school is the best 4 years. No. The Army was the best for me. That's the Army. But I was being monitored, and Bubba, I don't know how your schooling was. You've never really talked about it, but it's so hang on. It's so weird how schools will ignore a problem, whether it's an inside or outside source, and then next thing you know, you have someone walking in with a firearm, and it's getting to the point where it's like, look, maybe we need bulletproof glass. Maybe schools need to be locked down, like with doors and everything. You know, I mean.
Metal detectors, yeah.
Metal detectors, armed security guards. Hell, I'm a vet. All you got to do is give me a pack of cigarettes and a case of Full Throttle, and I'll stand out there with a gun and just be like, all right, I'll protect the school, no problem. You guys I got this. And I think we might have either lost her or... Is she? Cam Calloway says 15 female, 15-page manifesto, hate driven, Mountain Dew is great, and peanut butter whiskey not together though. And also, apparently, Cam's a Marine. Hey, good for you, Cam. You have to bear with us, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if we lost Nixon. Is that her? Oh, her computer just died.
I'm back.
All right, there she is. All right.
All right. Okay.
That was a fast recovery. Didn't even kick you off the StreamYard. That's professional, right
I
there.
work in IT.
Oh, so okay, that's why.
It's my regular job. Yeah. But no, I understand what you're saying. Yeah. I mean,
And we don't have you on cam, but
am I on
we
camera
got your
yet?
voice.
Oh, you're fine. I mean, I don't know how much longer we're gonna go on for. Just however long.
I
Oh,
was
you
gonna
must be on
say,
camera on my end. Am I not on camera on your guys' end?
You're not on our end. It's just a black screen, but that could be because it's low power mode, maybe.
Okay. But yeah,
But like
they actually did a really good job at bullying where we live. They actually nipped it in the bud when my son was getting bullied here. But when we lived in Springfield, he got bullied in kindergarten by a first grader at Ball Charter, and I had to pull him out. Like he was getting physically assaulted and like getting his head slammed into walls. And Principal Williams just refused to do anything. She's like, "Well, kids will be kids." And it's like, no, I picked him up from school and had to take him to the hospital to get x-rays in his leg because he couldn't move his leg. Like, I'm gonna press charges. And then she removed me from like all my volunteer duties. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm taking him out of this. Like, you're supposed to be a good school. You're a charter school. So I took him out and put him in Black Hawk, and he didn't have any problems. But yeah.
And see, I grew up in Riverton. And yeah, I mean, I've been big all my life, so I was bullied. But we got into fights and we moved on. There was no ever thought of shooting up the school and things like that. And then in high school, I ended up going to Southeast there in Springfield. And I never got bullied, but that was my first taste of having police at the school, just like as security. And I was like, that was kind of crazy, but yeah, I never had a problem at Springfield schools, but
I had problems with Jacksonville School District 117. I had a lot of problems.
But from what I hear, Riverton, there's still a lot of bullying going on in Riverton. And it's just always been that way.
It's so crazy that we as a society, look at the advancements mankind has done in the past 20 years, and we're still dealing with things like school shootings. We're still dealing with things like, war, stuff like that. I saw somebody the other day on TikTok saying, hey, and again, I'm not trying to be political, but these politicians, they're really, really quick to beef up security when something happens to them. But when there's something like a school shooting, they just don't seem to care. They just ignore it or say, well, we got to live with it. There's surely something you can do about it. There's surely something that we could actually come up with. And this is coming from a guy who is very much pro Second Amendment.
I mean, it's not a gun issue. It's a mental health issue. Like with the school shooting in Madison, everybody's like, you need to speak to our representatives about, no nonsense gun laws. I'm like, bitches, I moved up here from fucking Springfield, Illinois. Like a guy was shot in my front yard, at 1 p.m. in the afternoon on 1st Street by Gabatoni's. I was driving home from Hy-Vee one day and had the back window of my SUV shot out. Nobody was shooting at me. These are just assholes shooting at each other or just popping off rounds. Like Illinois has some of the strictest gun laws in the country, and we hear gunshots all the time. That has nothing to do with it. Even like a year of moving up here, my oldest son was 8 years old, and it was like a little over a year, like I don't know, like 13 months. And he goes, "Mommy, I just realized I haven't heard a gunshot the whole time we've lived here."
That's good.
And I was just, yeah, it is, but it's also sad because I didn't realize he was noticing it so much when we lived in Springfield. We lived by Washington Park the last year and a half we lived there, and we were still hearing gunshots all the time.
Yeah. Illinois, in their divine magical wisdom, decided to enact an assault weapons ban, which, as a vet, I'll tell you that assault weapons, you don't have access to assault weapons. You don't. Military has those. But they sit there and think, we enacted this ban. It works. No. How many times a week do we usually cover a mass shooting? Once a month at least. We had a listener who literally got shot right after the show went off the air.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And they want to sit there and say it works. No, it doesn't work. There's got to be something that both sides got to come together and figure out a way to solve it. It really has to come down.
Yeah.
The saying in Springfield was that a gunshot or fireworks?
I know what a gunshot. No, it's like, is it a gunshot or a meth lab explosion? That's
No.
Now I live in Illiopolis, and this town is like so quiet, except for a loud vehicle or
We went on a ghost walk. We went on a ghost walk for Wrestling for a Cure, which is a charity we're a part of.
Oh yeah.
And we were in the downtown area. We were right outside the Capitol building, and we started hearing, pop, 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 and I knew right away. Oh, those are fireworks. Those are fireworks. But you should have seen all the young people, the people who didn't know any better. They're kind of looking around like, are those gunshots? Are those gunshots? Like, no. You can tell. How can you tell? Because gunshots sound like popcorn going off.
Yeah, I mean, I think fireworks are a lot more obvious that they're fireworks.
Oh yeah.
But and in Springfield, there's so many transformer explosions. I've never lived anywhere with so many blackouts in my life. Like, and I know you guys had a blackout for like a month. I think it was last summer, not this past summer, but last year.
Oh, with
that Jericho or whatever.
Yeah, because the electrical grid is like held together with like bubble gum and like electrical tape, and that's it.
Well, and it took so long because they didn't have all the extra poles to put the electric poles back up. They had to wait and have those trucked in from somewhere. It's like, why wouldn't you be prepared for that? Like,
yeah, Ryan Barrett says that gunshots. Welcome, Ryan.
Gunshots, he's one of the writers of Pandemonic.
Welcome, Ryan. He says gunshots and fireworks have a very different sound if you listen closely. Yes, they do. That derecho, and the funny thing too is that I was without power for 4 days. I didn't miss power. I was enjoying it. I was like, it actually feels good because I grew up very poor, no air conditioning in my bedroom, living up in the attic. So I baked in the summer. I enjoyed it. I felt like a kid again. Bubba was on another podcast, Ray Lyle's Morning Disaster, and he said one night it was day 2 of the power outage, and he said Ray was getting pissed off because there was no power yet. He was sitting without power. He's like, I need stimulation. I need my Netflix, my Disney Plus, all that shit. It's like, you can tell who could survive if this ever happened, like long term.
Well, and the bad thing is that it was South Dirksen was hit pretty bad with that, and like restaurants and that were shut down for extended period of time, and especially from what I understand, Red Lobster was down. And all that seafood. They said that they had such a hard time going in to clean because the smell of the rotting seafood.
So it just smelled like bad. A Nevada, like, brothel, basically.
Yeah, it smelled. Every cat in town was heading that way.
You got the smell of the seafood anyway, and then you add that heat from no air conditioning and no free, refrigeration, and it just made it so much worse. And they said it was bad. For a while, they didn't even think it was ever going to even open again.
I remember that. Yeah, it was because everyone was complaining about it on Facebook about the smell by the Red Lobster.
Oh my God, he said.
And they actually, when they finally got power back, they actually stayed shut down for like what was an extra week or so, Bubba?
Longer than that.
I think it was long. I think it was longer actually.
Get that stink out of there and to get product back in.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I heard it really disrupted the town. I don't know. I don't miss Springfield at all. I'm so glad we got the hell out of there.
I can tell you right now, you're not missing much.
I know. I follow 217 Problems still because I don't know. It's just gratifying to know I'm not there when I see all this bullshit. Like every month, there's somebody driving into a building. Like I just saw the South Grand McDonald's got ran into again. I've seen that one time in the 3.5 years I've lived here in Madison that somebody's driven into a building, and it's twice the size of Springfield.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, how does it keep happening in Springfield?
And it happens a lot to McDonald's, it seems like.
You know.
No, it's McDonald's or a Subway, one of the two. It's either a Subway or a McDonald's, and it's like, why are people? What are you missing here with the drive-in part? This doesn't make sense.
It's baffling. I mean, I've seen houses, Starbucks, Schnucks, like, but yeah, it's like, I swear to God, at least 4 to 10 times a year it happens in Springfield. I've never seen this anywhere else. It's baffling.
Nixon, I don't know if you can see this or not, but I'm going to bring this up for the audience to see. But that's what we're talking about.
Yes, that.
It is literally wedged between the wall and the countertop. It is not touching the floor.
I know. Like, I heard somebody said, like, those are some really strong tables.
The floor is lava.
Move to get it lodged up there like that.
Oh yeah, because that ice cream machine is down.
He demanded because the damn ice cream machine is down. I love that. The guys you work with are fucking hilarious. I love them. But this happens all the time. It's a pandemic with Central Illinois. Someone's going to drive through a freaking building at some point for some dumb reason.
Because the meth dragons were chasing them.
I love 217 problems, but it also reminds me that there's a lot of people in this area that, have you seen this one? This one here, I couldn't stop laughing at because this happened in, of all places, Springfield.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Somebody got fired for that one.
Bridge versus truck.
You
and
literally
that happened at that underpass a lot.
Yeah, but you see this kind of stuff. This is something stupid. This stuff I would see in like California or New York, where you have that old, the old infrastructure and all that stuff. This is Springfield, for God's sakes, right down from the Capitol building.
And the infrastructure is not great, though.
No, the infrastructure is not great. It's also held together by rubber bands and paper clips because the state can't afford concrete.
Well, no, because they have too much money laundering going on.
We are actually the state. I don't know, Bubba. I meant to talk about this last night, but I'm pretty sure Nixon probably doesn't know. The other day, the Democrats in Illinois, and again, I'm not getting political. I do hate our governor. I'm not getting political other than that. But
I mean, I'm Jewish, and I'm not going to claim him.
Okay.
We don't claim him.
He's ostracized.
Yeah.
But the governor had a press conference where he made this strikingly bold and shocking revelation. Illinois is $22 billion in debt compared to $28 billion where it was last year. He's knocked off $4 billion. Well, if you actually fucking look at what he actually was trying to say, but he cleaned it up so he made himself look good. That's because he cut a lot of police jobs. And also that's $22 billion for this year alone, added to the $28 billion from last year.
Well,
yeah.
And now I just seen Rod Blagojevich is trying to talk Trump into suing Pritzker.
No.
Oh my God.
No.
Oh my gosh.
Rod Blagojevich, we don't need you anywhere near. You had your chance. You followed the Illinois curse, the Illinois tradition that the governor goes to jail. He did it in such a stupid way, trying to sell Barack Obama's Senate seat.
Yeah,
Come on.
Pritzker was on those calls. Like, he was recorded. I don't know why. Well, probably because people don't follow politics. They just
people don't realize
all these racist things about Obama.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he said the N-word in those video recorded calls. We don't talk about that.
I actually liked Obama, but it's ridiculous what happened with that shit.
I mean, it's just all really corrupt, and it's just with all the gambling money that Illinois should be receiving and the legalized pot, because you know what, like, pot's not legal here in Wisconsin. It's decriminalized here in Dane County, but I still gotta go to the fucking dispensaries across the border if I want to get something that I trust. It's
so weird. I live in a state where I cannot go buy an AR-15, which I spent 8 years or 6 years using in the military version, but I can go get weed really fucking easily. Just gotta walk down the street.
Yeah, the state officer is going to tip their hat to you and say, "Good day, sir."
Oh, good day, law-abiding citizen. You got that 420 blaze it? Oh, fabulous.
Very good. Enjoy.
They tax it so much, though. It's ridiculous. I got like a half gram THC vape, and it was like $45, but because it's also here in Illinois that the higher the THC, the more
Yeah.
it's taxed. So
Oh, okay. I didn't know
ended up
that.
paying like almost $15 in tax on it.
Yeah. So
it was almost $60. Well, a friend of mine, she lives in Colorado. Now, mind you, because she was in the Coast Guard, she gets a 20% military discount. But she got a 2 gram. Now, mine was a half gram. Hers was a 2 gram THC vape and paid $60 for it. And I'm like,
yeah. Go to Michigan. It's so much
even
cheaper in Michigan too. It's insane. Like you're going to be paying like half.
And you can probably also get curbside too cheaper.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can be comical sometimes. This one time in band camp, no, I went and I bought the Star. Have you ever heard of the Star of Death? Have any of you ever heard of the Star of Death gummies?
I've heard it. I've had Death Star flour.
No,
these are
Star straight.
They look like a Jello jiggler. It literally looks like it's like a Jello jiggler size star. These things come in a pack of 20, and literally 200 THC. $50 for a pack of 20. I had to pay $120 just in tax for it all together with the taxes.
Holy shit!
Yeah, and let me tell you something. I did take those things. Those things will kick your fucking ass. 200 THC. I was drooling on the sofa like, this is too strong.
I mean, I always test them out. I just do a half of like something just to see, because depending on the strain, it can always hit differently. You never know. Yeah, test that out like on an empty stomach just to see the full effects.
Well, but was that 200 milligrams? Was that for the whole package or for each one? Because most of the packages, it says what it is for the total package. So you got to take however many comes in that package. Like if it's 200 milligrams and there's 20 in there, each one's only 10 milligrams.
It was 200. It was 200 milligrams for each piece.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
That's insane.
I did a squirrel got my last one. I found that son of a bitch dead in my garage. Well, he wasn't dead, but he was out.
Yeah, like I think you're legit comatose at that point.
I walked in and the bag was open and there was a squirrel laying next to it and he was on his back just hands up, and I walked up, he's twitched his nose, looked at me, I'm like, boy, you were on a trip, aren't you?
R.I.P. Peanut.
Oh God, too soon.
Too soon. Yep.
Too soon. That's such a stupid thing to happen. All because the guy had a pet squirrel. Look, you got a pet squirrel. It ain't bothering you. Leave it alone. So, well, I got nothing else to talk about. What about you guys?
I mean, I just want to say, hey, like, check out Phil Herman's Unearthed. We're selling DVDs and Torture the Flesh DVDs. You can look up Chivi's Productions on Facebook or Phil Herman on Facebook, and we are selling those. And Chivi's Productions is always at like Milwaukee horror conventions and Chicago conventions, also selling DVDs that they've made and Blu-rays.
Yep, and that is also featuring our very own forgive me if I get the name wrong, Nixon Vicci.
Yes, that's correct.
I got it.
Camera is not working. I can see. I've been able to see myself this whole time, but yeah, I cannot. Sorry, you guys can't.
Oh well, it's no big deal. We're going to have you on again for sure at some point. We're going to have you on again. I've done so many interviews lately. Have not had one guest where I say I can't have them back on, except for that guy. That guy over there. That guy drives me nuts.
Yeah. I'm pointing to him too, but you can't see him.
Well, and it has been good to see you, Nixon. It's been too long.
Well, how can you see her? I see a black screen.
Well,
I don't even know why, because
she was on there most of the show. I mean,
yeah, she was.
I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, it's
all right. So, you got Phil Phil Herman's Unearthed, which you're promoting.
Yes, because The Ties That Bind is a film that I'm in on that one. Torture the Flesh is out. I have a role in that one, but overall, that's just a really great film full of really great people. Banjo with Cam Calloway, the writer and director, who is in the chat. That's on IMDb. We're in pre-production. That'll be coming out eventually. The Clown Dies at Midnight 2. Clown Harder is being filmed next summer. And Pandemonic, written and directed by Dave Cook and Ryan Barrett, is also being filmed next year. And we're going to have an Indiegogo campaign for that to raise funds.
You're going to have to send us a link for that so we can start advertising that so we can get some money for you guys as well.
All right, absolutely.
Definitely help support the indie film genre and all those involved. So
yeah, and after this, go check out the short film The Clown Dies at Midnight, the first one, because it's definitely fun. Like I said, if you love raunchy comedy and puns and just over the top ridiculousness, it's really a fun watch. It's definitely worth the 13 minutes of your time.
That's the link to watch the film she's talking about, and we're definitely got to have you back on for sure, Nixon, for sure. So
I would love it.
I'd love to hear more about some horror movies you got coming on. I'd like to talk to you a little bit more as well. Paul Nada says, "Creep it real." I'd like to thank Cam Calloway and everybody for watching the show tonight. Nixon Vicci, been an honor and a pleasure, even though we can't see you.
I know, I'm sorry. I keep forgetting because
my ugly face. Good luck with that ghosted film idea I gave you. Free of charge, all yours.
All right.
Start pushing that around.
Thank you.
Bubba, it's been fun. Of course, as always, you find a good one for us to interview. So Bubba's been driving me nuts. He's like, dude, if you message Nixon, you need to get Nixon on. Did you talk to Nixon yet? Have you? Give me a little while. I've got like 22 other people I'm talking to get interviews on.
Of course.
And one thing is, we talked about Terrifier. I actually messaged the guy who plays Art. Again, I haven't heard nothing back, and probably won't. But he's trying.
He's hot shit right now. I mean,
yeah.
Grinch horror, like that Grinch horror Christmas movie. He plays the Grinch in that.
I doubt we're gonna. What is his name? The guy who plays Art the Clown. I doubt we're gonna get him because he went big time. He's a big time actor. He's probably gonna be the next big horror icon.
You never know though until you try. I never thought I'd get an interview with Michael Berry, but I did.
You never know. You're right.
And you never know till you try. So.
It's funny, too, because I've messaged so many other podcasts trying to get them on to advertise their stuff. Some of these podcasts are like, yeah, sure, we'll come on, like, Opa Ghost or Notorious Escapades or Boring Disaster. Some of these other podcasts, like K-Pop Kimchi, which I guess reviews K-pop music, they're like, no, we don't want to do it. It's like, okay. But yeah, I get singers, actors, directors, comedians, all these people who are like, yeah, I'll come on, so...
Oh, comics always will come on. They love to shamelessly promote.
I love comics because you can be yourself. When somebody says I'm also a comedian, it's like, oh, I gotta worry right now. All the professionalism, just no, toss it. We can just be ourselves now. So, well, Nixon, it has been truly an honor and a privilege. Thank you for coming on. We will have to keep in touch with you and get you back on at a later date. Talk about when your next film comes closer and closer. You can promote it here with us.
Yeah, and hopefully at some point I'll have some comedy footage. I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you guys.
That'll be awesome.
Let me give you a little advice on the comedy. Look on the bright side. You're funnier than me, so you're not the worst. You're gonna be just fine. I can't be funny. I can't make a joke. It'll save my life.
I mean, as long as if people are laughing at you, that's still laughter, and you're still getting attention, even if it's not positive attention.
On a previous show, I used to do a really good Sam Kinison impersonation, which all I did was get mad and scream.
Perfection.
It was.
Yep.
I love
thank you guys. I really appreciate this, and I'd love to talk to you guys again and be more prepared so my computer doesn't.
Yep. All right, Nixon Vicci, everybody. That's it for us. We will be back tomorrow for your Friday edition. It is Festivus for the rest of us. It is our Christmas episode, last show before the end of the year.
Got a lot of problems with you people, and you're all gonna hear about it.
Yeah, come on the show. You get to air your grievances. Oh, and Bubba, I got a book wrote about grievances about you, man. I'm sorry. There's a book. I do love Bubba. No, I'm just giving him shit, but there's a book. But tomorrow night will be our last show of the year before the holiday break. It is Festivus for the rest of us. If you guys want to come on and watch, or you want to come on and air your grievances, just let us know. Message me on Facebook or message the Best Damn Podcast, and we'll get you set up. Until then, Nixon, thank you very much for being here. Bubba, thank you very much for setting this up. And we will see you tomorrow. It's so long, everybody.
See ya.